So today we're going over my final election prediction. The map you see right now is my final election predictions, and then I'm going over different scenarios. Okay, so on my final election prediction, I say that. So first off, let me go over the basics. So the states that are safe are states that Hillary won in 2016 that are past the margin of error for Biden, or same with Trump. The states that are likely for either candidate are states that are past the margin of error, but for example, Hillary did not win in 2016. Um, okay, so my first major prediction I made is that Pennsylvania is the leading Democrat. I say this prediction because the average RCP average has Joe Biden with a 3% lead, and even though that's not within the margin of error, I think that lead will hold, and Biden, being from Pennsylvania, will help him there. My next major prediction I made was North Carolina would go for Biden. The polls have stayed consistent even up to election day. It's going to be really close. This is 1%, but the governor's race there, and overall, the state is trending in a more blue direction. Um, with Florida, I have Trump narrowly winning too. I think Trump will narrowly win Florida. I think there'll be a small swing in older populations, but just enough in close states to make a little difference for Biden. So the more of the major predictions, for example, I said Arizona would go for Trump. A lot of people are saying that it would go blue like 538, but I just looked at the RCP average and it had Biden with a point 0.5 lead in Arizona, and I think a state that has such a big Republican history will end up going narrowly to Trump. And I think Ohio will also go narrowly to Trump. Um, I think the recent polling has showed Trump up by 1 point there. Same with Iowa. I think he might have a bigger lead in Iowa. And even though there's lots of large numbers, early voting numbers in Texas, I think Trump will narrowly win Texas. And I think I think Texas and Georgia are definitely trending blue, but I don't know if they're gonna flip this election. Georgia, I went back and forth over where I should put it, but I think I'm gonna put it in narrowly going for Trump because uh, Georgia, the latest poll RCP average has Trump up by point 0.5, and a poll just came out with Trump up by 4 points in Georgia, and I think it will narrowly go to Trump. Okay, now we're gonna go over some of the different scenarios we can have on election night. So let me set the map under what states are safe for each candidate. This doesn't necessarily reflect voter total in the sense. So it's just whether or not these states at the end of the day, I'm pretty certain that each one of those states are going to go blue. Even Minnesota, Hillary won that in 2016, and the polls are showing Biden past the margin of error in that state. Fill in the red wall. And Alaska. Okay, there's a few more Democrat states I need to fill out. But besides that, I think we're done. Okay. So this is the map we have on a basic level. I'm gonna go over the first scenario. I'm gonna go over is a scenario where Trump ends up winning an election. And these are all the states within the margin of error. So that would probably look like Trump would be able to make up a huge lead. Well, let's start small. Trump would be able to win Texas and bring back Georgia's historically red roots, keep up the same momentum he had in Iowa in 2016. Same with Ohio, and switch and get North Carolina, Florida back in his column. This would be really hard, but going over if Trump would win. And what really makes this scenario unlikely is that Trump would have to win Pennsylvania. I don't know the likelihood of that, but it's certainly possible. I would say Trump has an overall 10% chance of winning. But in Pennsylvania, it's certainly possible. Sometimes the 10% happens. Be very hard, but he has been campaigning there. So in this scenario, Trump would win Pennsylvania, and that'll give him just barely enough electoral votes to scrape by. Okay, now let's look at a scenario where you could see something like a Biden blowout, where Biden just sweeps all the states and gets a big electoral victory. So that would look like first states like probably the first state to go on election night would probably be Pennsylvania, if in a situation where Biden would be doing really well. And some of the states with the earliest returns would be Florida and North Carolina. So Florida and North Carolina go into the lean category because this is a very big majority. If Biden were to win a supermajority, Georgia would be going back and forth throughout the night. Same with Ohio and Iowa. Texas would also, you would see margins historically attributed to Florida. It would be within percentage points. Arizona would come in very strongly for Biden, more than expected. In this scenario, Biden would just barely be able to edge out a lead in Ohio. And since Iowa generally votes with Ohio, he also wins Iowa. And in this scenario, still unlikely, he would be able to squeak out a win in Georgia and also a win in Texas, which early voter numbers certainly say is possible but unlikely. So this would be a map where Biden would turn out to basically win a landslide. The next map, the last map I'm going to show, is a map where Trump outperforms the polls, but he still doesn't have enough numbers to win. But the election would be close throughout election night, and this would be an election week type scenario. So in this scenario, Trump is able to eke out a win in North Carolina, eke out a win in Florida, and return Georgia, Texas, and Arizona to their red roots. And he would be able to carry that momentum that he had in the Rust Belt last time into Iowa and Ohio. But then, because Biden has history in Pennsylvania, Biden would be narrowly win Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania would be like Florida in 2000. It would go back and forth, but Biden would narrowly win Pennsylvania, giving him more than 270, and he would be the next president. But this is a scenario which is more likely where Trump ends up outperforming. So this is all I have to say about the election. I recommend you check out RCP and 538, and I'll keep you updated on my Instagram. Bye.